So now that that housekeeping is out of the way, welcome to the party. We've started recording. I want to make sure that everyone has gotten a game plan for the breakout room. So either you're going to go to Allison first and then come back to the main room with me. You're going to go to Teresa first for sales, mindset, prospecting, etc. First, and then come back to the main room. Or you're going to do a 50-50. You're going to do Allison first and then go to Teresa, and we'll reassign you kind of midstream. You have to come back to the main room for that reassignment thing to happen. And then you can also do it the other way. Start with Teresa, come back to the main room for a quick second, and then go to Allison second. So either here in the chat or in the Facebook group. So the folks that already made their wishes known in the Facebook group, Morgan has that. You're good to go. If you have not made your wishes known in the Facebook group, the default is you stay with me. So who the hell wants to do that? The default is you stay with me. If you changed your mind or you have a different preference that you do want some one-on-one time with Allison for your copywriting and messaging and articulation and distinction, Allison's going to be available today for that in her breakout room. And then Teresa, of course, with sales, mindset, prospecting, getting your head screwed on straight and then tight and then focused and going out to make it happen. That's what she is doing. And I just have a little housekeeping to do so that Morgan can do what she needs to do. And let's see where I do that. We do manage participants. We go into Morgan. And okay. I think I've now handed over the keys to the kingdom. So Morgan, let me know if that came across okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
I need coffee.
Fantastic. Whoever said I need coffee, I need coffee too. That's such a great idea. So thank you for bringing it up. We're going to do coffee, and then we're going to get started, and then we'll break up into our breakout rooms once Morgan has everything organized. So let's have a coffee break here. Okay. That was that. Thank you for that idea. I'm not sure who chimed in with, man, I need coffee. But you said it with such conviction that I have to agree with you. All right. So let's talk about one of the most important things, I think, in this business or in any business, which is really about mindset. Mindset so we had this great co-working day yesterday, and people are generating leads, and they're working on their stuff, and they got their LinkedIn, and they're sending their emails, they're doing their prospect research, and all of that is great. The reason we want to get you into action is because even when you get into action, when you start making things happen, not everything is going to work out, guys. Not everything is going to work out. Not every prospect will be a good prospect. Not every lead is a good lead. Not every association or every company is going to have your fee. And at some point, if you do the work, listen carefully to this part, if you do the work, things will start to suck. I know it's a very counterintuitive thing to say, but if you don't do the work, then 100% of the time, everything sucks. So just want to put that out there as a comparison point. When you start to do the work, you're going to hit obstacles. You're going to get no's. Some days, some weeks, you're going to get more no's than yeses. Some days, some weeks, you might get all no's and no yeses. Zero. No yeses. None. So the question is, how do you look at that? How do you refocus on the data and not the drama? So by the way, we're going to ask you for your distinctions like we always do. Your distinctions, your aha moments, your takeaways. We'll do that Facebook thread like we always do. I would encourage you, go into that Facebook thread. And if you can respond to this, if you're resonating with what I'm saying right now, that, wow, wouldn't life be great if I ran my business responding to the data and not the drama? I want to respond to the data and not the drama. How many emails did I send? How many responses did I get? How many relationships did I open? How many conversations did I put on the calendar? All of that is data. The way that we interpret the data is what makes us crazy. right? What you focus on, like, oh, nobody wants to hire me. You know, I came into this program, I was charging $200, and now David's making me charge $5,500 or $7,500. No one has $5,500. This is your interpretation of a bad week of calls, a bad week of emails, a bad week of referrals, a bad week of asking for air, a bad week of interviews. Like, oh God, no, he was wrong. He's wrong. No, there's no clients out there that are willing to pay me $5 or $7 or $9 or $12,000 or whatever your number is. There's no, so you're dramatizing, right? You're catastrophizing. Is that even a word? You're catastrophizing. You're making a catastrophe, and you've got a very, very small little data set. So here's the magic question that's going to help you reframe and refocus. You can talk to Teresa about this if you want to pop into her room and talk about mindset and sales and obstacles and tough stuff. What needs to happen? That's the magic question. Is, oh my gosh, I can't find any leads. You know, I'm coming, I got nothing. Okay, what needs to happen for me to find more leads? And rationally look at that. Take out a legal pad, take out your phone, take out whatever note-taking device that you've got, right? Answer the question, what needs to happen for me to outcome that you want? You're calling people. No one's answering your calls. No one's answering emails. All your outreach is going to a black hole. What needs to happen for my outreach to be more effective? And so, I'm sorry, Rad's asking, and you guys that are fairly new to this breakout session, once Morgan knows what room you want to be in, and then we kind of say, okay, we're going to the breakout rooms, you guys will automatically be assigned to the breakout room that you asked for. So the Teresa people will go into Teresa's room. There's a little button that pops up. You say yes, accept, and then you're in there. When you want to leave the breakout room on your Zoom window, it will say leave breakout room, come back to the main room, and then you can go to the other person. You can go to Allison from Teresa. You can go to Teresa from Allison. Forgot to mention that housekeeping. I apologize. But this question of what needs to happen will take you from having a bad, awful, terrible day that takes you off your rhythm and off your pace to having a day that's like, well, okay, that didn't work out the way I wanted to, but I'm more resilient, I'm more focused, I have more momentum, I know what needs to happen next. And I'll tell you why, in my experience, people are reluctant to even get off the dime and take any of this action because they're afraid, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if I send the emails and no one emails back? What if I ask for the referrals and no one has any referrals? What if I put out 5 proposals and all the proposals never come back and I never get paid, I never get booked? Now again, compare that to, what if I sit in my office and do nothing? What if I sit in my office and do nothing? Chances of success, somewhat lower. What if I do something and it doesn't work? This is your strategy. This is your mindset reframe, your mindset reboot, is asking yourself the question, what needs to happen? What needs to happen for me to get better results? What needs to happen for me to up my game? What needs to happen for me to increase the relevance and urgency of me hiring me? What needs to happen with what I'm doing so that I can do better tomorrow and the next day and the next day? So if you get in this habit of focusing on the data and doing as much as you can as what's within your power to diffuse the drama, right? And just say, okay, here's the data. What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the catastrophe, or am I focusing on how to fix it? Am I focusing on, oh my God, this is awful, it's never going to work for me? Or am I focused on what needs to happen? What needs to happen for me to get through to this kind of prospect? What needs to happen for my emails to immediately get replied to and jumped on? What needs to happen for me to feel a lot better about the relevance and the value of the prospecting emails I'm sending, or whatever it is? But we sometimes get sucked into this trap of focusing on just the negative. This isn't working, this isn't helping, this isn't good, no one has my fee. And we start to not only catastrophize, we start to generalize the problem, right? So if I talk to 5 people in a row that don't have my fee, I go, well, no one has my fee. No one has my fee. I've got 19,700 prospects. I've talked to 5 of them, and I can tell you, no one has my fee. No one. Now, if you talk to 150 prospects and no one has your fee, then you got a problem, right? Then you have a different kind of data. You've got much more complete data, and you're like, why am I charging $97,000 for my keynote? That's interesting. I guess no one has that fee based on kind of where I'm coming from. But when we have this limited amount of data, and then we go into this kind of terrible tragedy, focus on the negative, the sky is falling attitude, it is not helping you, my friends. It's not helping you. And I will tell you, things can be great, and things can be okay, and things can be terrible. Doubt will always creep in. Maybe that's your big takeaway for today. Doubt will always creep in. So Sam and Morgan and Teresa and we're running a 7-figure business here. We don't have it all dialed in. We don't have it all figured out. We have days where we're sitting here, head in the hands, going, what needs to happen? Literally, we had a meeting this morning about what needs to happen. What needs to happen for our folks to get better results? What needs to happen for our online program to be more effective? What needs to be added? What needs to be taken away? So we're adding things like the co-working day. Co-working day was an answer to what needs to happen for our folks to be more successful, to engage, to do the work, to get some results, to pull the ship up faster than they otherwise would in 2 or 3 weeks. What needs to happen in a single day? Let's sit on their heads. Let's sit on their neck, and let's make sure they do the work. Let's be more available to them. Let's do this co-working thing. Let's launch this so that they're more successful. Now, in your world, this is a great question for you. It's a great question with your marketing. It's a great question with your sales. It's even a great question with your keynote or your service delivery or your coaching or your consulting. What needs to happen for my clients to think I am the most awesome thing since sliced bread? What needs to happen for me to every booking I get, it generates 3 more? What needs to happen for me to kick off a craze of referrals of people who cannot wait to refer me and book me and bring me into their company? So think about that. It's such an empowering question about what needs to happen. So your agency, what do you need to do? What is within your capability, right? Personal agency that you've got free will. You can do things. You can make things happen. So often we are victims of our business. It's like, oh yeah, that didn't work. Oh, I tried that once, and yeah, that didn't pan out. And the sad sack, this is happening to me. I'm a victim. The opposite of that is this clarifying question. What needs to happen? What needs to happen for you to do more effective outreach? What needs to happen for you to earn the money that you know that you want and need to earn and can very easily earn? What needs to happen for you to build relationships with buyers that they want to repeat and refer and recommend? What needs to happen? What needs to happen? What needs to happen? That is a positive focus, enabling thought. When we catastrophize and we go, oh, just focus on the negative, this isn't working and that's not working and no one has my fee and I can't find any prospects, right? What you focus on expands, right? Basic motivation 101. But the further you get and the more successful you get, you realize, damn, that's true, right? You can be very successful like this, start focusing on the negative, and you find yourself like this down here. Very, very quickly, 3 months, 6 months, a year later, you're like, hey, what happened? What happened? I was riding the wave here. I was doing really well, but then I started not being grateful. I started not appreciating every single client. I started not looking forward to every single sales conversation. I started to look at the lack and the gap instead of the possibility and the potential. So you can recover from that at any time by answering the question, what needs to happen? What needs to happen? What do I need to do to wake up tomorrow, do it better, do it smarter, do it faster, work around that obstacle, go over the wall, go under the tunnel, whatever it is you need to get around that problem? Don't focus on the problem. Focus on the solution. This is when John said yesterday in our co-working day, and I always recommend this. He said, well, here's what I'm looking at for pricing. What are your ideas? I say, anytime that you have a question, I'd love to see 2 or 3 potential answers that you're considering. So not only think about the problem, but saying, I could solve it with A, I could also solve it with B, I might also solve it with C. Now you come to Teresa, or you come to me, or you come to Sam, and you say, which one do you like better? Or help me evaluate the pros and cons of A, B, and C. Right? Because as soon as you say, okay, there are 3 possible solutions, there are 3 possible ways. I could do it this way, I could do it that way, I could say, it could be a $5,000 thing or $6,500. What do you like better and why? Okay, I got it. We can have a fantastic conversation about that. How should I price my program? I don't know. I don't know, right? Give me some backstory. Give me some texture. Tell me what you're thinking. What are the potential answers, right? So this is how we work best to help you in a mentoring and coaching and consulting relationship. It also may be the way that your clients work best with you, right? So once you got a paying client, don't just work in a vacuum. Don't just kind of say, okay, well, I sort of guess and figure out what they need and we'll kind of go from there. No, partner with them, right? This is where repeat and spin-off business comes in. Oh my God, it wasn't cookie cutter. It wasn't, drop the generic program, the off-the-shelf program. It was a completely collaborative, customized solution focused on exactly where we were, on exactly what we needed, at exactly the right time, in exactly the right way. That's why I love Rachel. That's why I love Cheryl. That's why I love Susan. That's why I love Teresa. Because there is no cookie cutter, and they helped us think through our options, right? They helped us process multiple good answers to the same kind of challenge. So in here, when you're about to go and hop into Teresa's room, you're about to go in and hop in with Allison, don't just say, what do you think the headline should be? I don't know. What were you thinking? Well, I've got option A and option B. Which do you like better? Now, when you ask a smart person, and by the way, our whole team is smart, and I'm also here. Our whole team is smart. If they have a third better option, they will tell you. But it needs to be a collaborative process, right? I mean, I know the way my brain works. If you say, hey, headline A or headline B, I go, you know what? I like the first part of this. I like this, and here's the third element I would add. So now you're being resourceful, right? Now you're coming to the table not just with problems or questions, you're also coming to the table with potential solutions. So that's how I'd encourage you to use your time today. And that's also, I'd also think about how can you add more of that dynamic to the way that you work with your clients when you're customizing a speech or a training or a program or a consulting package or whatever it is that they want. How can you get them brainstorming on the same piece of paper so that you're truly a trusted advisor and you're truly a partner in co-creating that solution and not just dropping a cookie cutter program in their lap? Okay, so that's enough ranting about that. Morgan, are we ready for the breakout rooms? You need a little extra riffing. What are your thoughts? Morgan says yes. Okay.
Ready.
So the Teresa people are going with Teresa. The Allison people are going with Allison. The rest of you poor saps are staying with me. And then we can change. We'll do about 40 minutes from now. So top of the hour, we'll do a presto changeo. And the folks that were, certainly if you're with Teresa and you want to stay with Teresa for part 2, you're welcome to do that. If you're with Allison, you want to stay with Allison for part 2, you're welcome to do that. But if you want to switch or you want to kind of double dip, the top of the hour is your changeover point. So go have some fun. Go have some fun. I'm gonna stay here, and then once Morgan is done assigning everybody, we'll go to our question queue for all the fabulous questions that you guys have already submitted, which gives me a moment to grab the coffee, which again is super important. I'm not sure who had the coffee comment, but thanks for there it is. It was Christy. Fantastic. Man, I gotta have some coffee. All right. Everyone should have gotten a room invite if you had asked to be assigned to one. Okay, good. So man, that just leaves the people with questionable taste that are here with me. It's okay. I appreciate you guys. This is the few, the brave, the hardy. This is the deal. So yeah, if you had been assigned to a room, unless you're staying with David. So let me answer Eddie's question first, because I just happen to remember that from the from the type form. I haven't heard of this other thing that you found, my friend. I haven't heard of this Loom. It's called Loom. So BombBomb is a paid service. I think BombBomb might have better deliverability. So as far as kind of getting through firewalls and getting through, because sometimes like video email can be a little bit sketchy, but BombBomb has that really figured out. I guess I would just test the free one. Can't hurt. And, if you love it, just report back and say, hey, I found a free one. I love it more than BombBomb. Are you on the free trial with BombBomb, or have you passed the free trial? Oh, hang on. We got to get you unmuted. I'm not the host anymore, so I can't unmute anybody. I'm just hanging out here.
Okay, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I passed the, I paid for the BombBomb, but Loom, it's free and it comes with, with Chrome. It's
like an add-in. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't tried it, but if you love it, then yeah, keep going.
Well, I'm going to try them both and see which one. I just didn't know whether you tried both and knew.
No. I'm not a big, it's funny because, again, this is a Sam area of expertise. Sam has all these like add-ins and Google Chrome and Gmail extensions. And I'm like, I'm afraid of all that stuff. I like this. I like to send plain old email, and I don't get involved with the add-ins and the plugins and so forth. But I probably should. And Sam's going to make me, so I guess I have to. Okay. Kimberly says, what's the best sales process of reaching out cold targeted prospects? Historically, I don't respond to. Okay. So Kimberly, you want to give a little, is Kimberly here? She might have popped into, okay, so she'll come back. I will answer it for you guys though, and very quickly. And again, this is a great implementation of what needs to happen for me to get a better response out of my initial outreach. If you use, and it depends if you're talking to associations or corporations, and when Kimberly comes back, then I'll answer that again. But the association outreach is fairly transactional, meaning they have an event, they have an event, you've done your homework, you've done some intelligent prospecting, you know that there's probably a good fit between what you do and what their audience needs, and then you're basing that outreach email based on the template that you have in Module 5. So that's the, hey, can you help me figure out, I have a program, et cetera, would love to find the right person to connect with. And say, either they'll say, hey, it's me. Yeah, you found the right person, it's me. Or you say, oh, that's Jane in our production department. That's Susie, who's our executive director, whoever it is. And then you say, hey, I just talked to Mary over here. I have a program. What would you like to see from me to be considered, right? So that's the door opening conversation with an association. With a company, you can be a little bit more direct. With a company, remember, associations want to fill a speaking slot, and companies want to solve a problem. So it's two slightly different approaches, right? So when you're looking at the company's website, the press release, the media page, you're doing a Google alert on that company name because they're on your target 20, they're on your active 20 target list of prospects, you're going to have a much more intelligent approach to why and how that company needs you and wants you, and how you can plug into one of their strategic initiatives that you've already read about or heard about or seen on their media page or read an interview with their CEO or whatever it is. So you're much more likely to show up on their radar with a specific high relevance solution or a high relevance question. So it's like, okay, some big company is expanding and they just set up a whole new call center in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's like, hey, Bob, congratulations on the call center in Phoenix, Arizona. I read about it in the Arizona Business Journal. It looks like you'll be doing a lot of hiring and promoting. My expertise is in talent development and make sure that fast-growing companies make the most of their hiring, recruiting, and retention. Would this be worth a short chat? So that's something that Kip, for example, Kip is our talent development guru. He might very well send that email and get a 20 or 30% hit rate because he's only talking to companies that just opened a new office or opened a new branch or announced some big hiring initiative, and that happens to be his area of expertise. So sharpening both the association, initial outreach, and then sharpening the corporate outreach, being more relevant, less of a talking head, less of an I'm a speaker, and much more of a I'm a problem solver, right? I'm a problem solver. I'm not just, speaker for hire, gun for hire. That's going to open more doors and lead to more conversations. So I can tell you that. What else? What other questions? Rad says, I'd like to know if my one sheet is going in the right direction. I have to leave for that. So I would take that. So Rad, I would take that right into Allison, because Allison's all about the copy and the documents. I would go to the expert, since you have the expert here. Is Rad even here? Or did Rad pop in with Allison like I'm recommending? Rad might be in Allison's room, right? Morgan says, I'll check. Okay. So, when you have the doctor, the doctor is in, go to the doctor. I'm just like an RN. All right. So Kip says, with a change to my company name, I'll be changing and simplifying the website. So is Kip here? Kip isn't here either. We'll have to hold all these questions until the people come back. So yes, there's lots of website suggestions in module I want to say 5, but it's in there if you look at the table. I can look it up in a second. But the website rules for the road is in module 5. And then I'm preparing a one sheet. Is this something Allison can assist with? Yes. And if Kip is not here, then Kip is also in Allison's room where he belongs to answer the one sheet question. All right. Who's next in our prefab queue? Looks like we'll have some time for some freeform questions as well, but I want to make sure that the pre-submitted questions get in there. Morgan, we already answered Eddie about the tech question. Thank you. Who's the next person after that? And you guys can be thinking about your question, and then tell Morgan that I have a question. I'll just put you in after the pre-submitted questions. Nicolle, and Nicolle is here. Amazing. Someone who asked the question and actually decided to hang out for the answer. Is there ever a time when applying to a conference as a breakout speaker is okay? Because I've changed my speaking topic. I'm new to the program. I don't feel like I've got the evidence to approach potential clients about the outcomes from hiring me. Okay, so there was 3 different things going on there. Is it ever okay to approach a conference as a breakout speaker? Sure, if there's a good marketing reason to do so. If there is not a good marketing reason to do so, then no, right? So the question is there a high likelihood that your next 2 to 3 to 4 clients are hiding in that audience? In other words, is it a target-rich group? Is it a target-rich environment where you've got a high degree of confidence that, man, if I could be in front of those people, I know I've got the leads to generate. I know I've got people I can help in there. I know that there's spin-off business. I know that there's at least 2 or 3 or 4 people in that group that are going to be perfect prospects who will hire me for some kind of work. So if you don't have a high degree of confidence, then my question would be, okay, you're not getting paid. You're not generating leads. Tough question is, why are you there? Why are you there? You're not there to practice, right? We don't practice on paying clients. We don't practice on free clients. You practice. Here's a big point. And again, I'm not a presentation skills coach. I don't play one on TV. This whole notion of I'll just go out and speak for free for practice. Oh my God. And then you wonder, like, how come I'm not getting booked? Well, because if you just are practicing in public and you suck, imagine buying an orchestra ticket. And it's some 3rd grade band with the tuba and the violin screeching. And you're like, oh God, it's terrible, horrible. And then, oh, by the way, you can hire this orchestra for $5,000 to come to your kid's birthday party. It's totally nonsensical. It's totally ridiculous. Practice at home. Practice with your dog. Practice in front of the mirror. Practice in front of your phone with your video camera turned on. That's where you practice. People say, oh, should I do free gigs for practice? No. You should do free gigs in your house, in sweatpants. Do it 100 times alone to the dog. When it's good, then take it out of the house, right? We don't practice. We don't practice for paying audiences. We don't practice for lead generating audiences. So if you do it strategically, right, I'm not saying don't speak for free. So Kelly just said, no more free speaking, which I'm not saying. let's be clear on what I'm also not saying. No free speaking for no reason. You have to finish the sentence. No free speaking for no reason, right? Strategically, to generate leads, I love free speaking. If I'm in front of the right room with the right people who are there for the right reason, and I have a high degree of confidence that my next 3 or 4 or 5 paying clients are hiding in that quote unquote free audience, I have no problem showing up there. I'll do a home run job. I'll walk out with 2 speeches and 5 coaching clients and 2 people in here, and it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. And that'll be a $20 or a $30 or $40,000 day. Why? Because I gave a free speech. It wasn't a free speech. It was a targeted lead generating opportunity that I knew, or had at least, let's not say no. I had a high degree of confidence that it was the right people in the right room who were there for the right reason. So either we speak for leads, we speak for money, we speak for both. If it's the wrong room, if it's the wrong fee, why are you there? I just got to ask you, why are you there? And we've already blown out the fact that it's not practice anymore. You can't give me that excuse. Oh, it's for practice. Practice at home with the dog. So that's there. Yeah, Christy has great advice. Join Toastmasters if you want practice. Join Toastmasters if you want practice. That is totally right. All right. So Nicolle, the answer to your question is yes, with a reason. And so that's question number 1. Second thing is, you don't have testimonials is different than I don't think I can really help people. Because and I know, and I'm telling you in case you don't know, that your message can totally help people and totally transform lives and totally transform the trajectory of where those audience members are going before they hear you versus after they hear you. So you having confidence in your message and the value and the impact of your message has nothing to do with how long you've been doing this, how many testimonials that you have, right? The testimonials, that's an outside condition, and you'll get them soon enough. I wouldn't hold myself back, right? But as soon as you say, I don't have testimonials, I'm new, I don't have letters after my name, I don't have a book, I don't have this, I don't have that. It's what I talked about at the beginning of the call, right? What are we focusing on? We're focusing on what you don't have. We're focusing on where you can't go. We're focusing on what you can't do. How is that helping you? How in the world is that helping you? So refocus, right, to what needs to happen for me to go out and get my first couple $45,000, $5,500 gigs, right? For some of you guys, what needs to happen for me to go get my next $15,000, $20,000 gigs? What needs to happen regardless of track record? Because here's the deal. Remember I said a moment ago that this never gets easier and doubt will always creep in? So I've got testimonials out the wazoo. Many of us do. I've got 134 longhand written recommendations on LinkedIn. Not those little goofy endorsements with like the plus, plus, plus. I mean longhand written recommendations, paragraphs of David is awesome. David is fantastic. David changed my world. David blew out our conference. David was amazing. I still have days where I wake up and go, man, I suck. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Why am I even doing what I'm doing? Right? Regardless of the evidence, of which we all have overwhelming evidence if we looked in the right place and focused on it enough, right? You can have a ton of evidence and still have the self-doubt, still have the imposter syndrome, still have all these things. So maybe that's the mantra, is doubt will always creep in. So what? Let it bounce off you like a rubber brick. Rubber brick comes in, bounces off your forehead, falls on the floor. You're like, okay, that was uncomfortable, but it's only rubber. It's a rubber foam brick. They'll boing, okay, moving on, right? Don't let it stop you. Don't let it get you down. Don't let it impact your outreach. Don't let it impact your fee. Don't let it kick you back into small potatoes land. Don't do any of those things, because that's not where you should be focusing on. That's not where you should be focusing on. So Christy says, I'm having a hard time getting clear on my message. How can I get to the real thing? What are your best things to include when completing an art? Okay, so that's 2 separate questions. So the real thing, right, which is the outcome that you ultimately deliver, you've got a couple of tools in modules 1 and 2 to help you with that. So we talked about the 7 buyer persona questions. We talked about the pain gain factors. That's a huge component to saying, okay, what am I doing? What problem am I solving? What conditions am I making go away? What situations am I improving? How's all of that working? You also have the, all of the marketing language bank, like when you're brainstorming, when you're doing your listening campaign and you're saying, what are people complaining about? What are they saying about the problem? What words are they using? What's that 6 o'clock head in the hands at the bar conversation? Oh God, I really hate when this happens. Or I wish this would go away. I really need a solution to that problem. So what are those emotional, visceral, kind of in the gut statements that people make when they're looking to solve that kind of problem that you solve? That's the real thing. That's the one and only and best definition of the real thing, right? A lot of times people think, oh, it's the input. It's the speech title. It's the clever catchphrase. It's the model that I've got a 7-part model to help financial advisors with their blah, blah, blah. No one cares about your method. No one cares about your model. No one cares about your input. No one cares about your keynote or your training. What do I get at the end? What do I get at the end? What's the transformation? What's going to make the journey worth the trip? What's the ultimate outcome of the pains, problems, headaches, heartaches that go away, and the things that I now get to achieve and accomplish, and the results and the outcomes and the happiness and the peace of mind and the confidence and the clarity that I now know what's going on? And that's the outcome that we're selling. So think in terms of those things. And I think a lot of the kind of BS marketing language, the jargon, the lingo, the catchphrases that we absolutely don't land with anybody, they need to go. And we need to have this much more visceral, real, emotional conversation about the symptomatic problems that we make go away, and then the actual outcomes. Outcome. Take that word outcome, underline it 17 times. That is what they're buying when they hire you. They're not buying the speech. They're not buying the program. They're not buying the keynote. They're not buying the 3-day training. They're not buying the 6-month boot camp. They're buying an outcome. And the faster and more clear that you can convey and communicate that outcome, the better. Right? Don't put a whole lot of junk in front of the outcome. And like somewhere on like at the bottom of page 3, it's like, oh, by the way, the outcome is this. I would start with the outcome, right? That's where that magic phrase comes in. Clients and audiences tend to hire Kelly when they're experiencing one or more of the following, or the is this you construct, right? You're tired of this. You're wrestling with that. You want to see more of this. You want to see less of that. You're tired of this happening. You know that you need to get things squared away. Something is really wrong, but you can't put your finger on what it is. All of these statements are emotional problem statements that get them connected. Go, oh my God, she's talking to me. She's totally talking to me. So that's how to handle that. The second question, what are the best things to include when completing an RFP? So we already talked about this previously. And again, maybe you missed it. Maybe you weren't on that particular call. I hate RFPs. I hate call for speakers. I hate call for speaker proposals. I hate all of that because that's where good speakers go to die. That is where good speakers, those RFP call for proposal forms is where good speakers go to die. So when you see one of those, the only data that you now have is, hey, they're doing an event and they're looking for speakers. I would immediately circumvent that form. I would go to the conference website. I would find the conference producer, the meeting planner, the executive director, say, hey, I saw your call for speakers. Is that the same form from which you hire your paid professional main stage speakers? And every word of that question is key. Is that the same form through which you hire means for money, right? Hire, underline 3 times. Hire your paid money, not free in the basement after lunch, but paid money. Hire your paid professional main stage, not the breakout rooms, right? Main stage speakers. Is that the same form? Oh, no, that's totally different. We have a committee, and Jim, who's our CEO, he heads up that committee. Let me give you his phone number. Let me give you his email address. Sometimes they say, no, that's just for the breakout people. They will have a form, but it's a different form. And it's like now they partition out, and you'll never see this other form, this other Google form or spreadsheet or whatever it is, right? they give you the public-facing form, then they'll send you a link. And the link is for the main stage paid professional speakers. So Steve Bolar, who was in our program, just graduated earlier this year. He had the exact experience. Like we talked about this about 5-6 weeks ago. I said, don't let those forms fool you. Those forms are not where you get paid. He implemented what I just recommended, that whole script. And he said, oh, no, that's not the form. Let me send you the link for where we hire our main stage speakers. Now, it was still a form, but it was a completely different form that went to a different set of buyers, that was on a whole fast-tracked process, and it was not the goofy website submission going into a black hole. You'll never hear from them again. So you do not want the goofy black hole submission, you'll never hear from them again button. You want to be a trusted advisor. You want to pick up the phone, pick up the email, say, hey, listen, I saw this coming in. I know how the game works. Is that the same form through which you hire your paid professional main stage speakers? No, it's not. Oprah's not filling out that form. Bill Clinton's not filling out that form. No one's filling out that form. Oprah doesn't fill out forms. They call Oprah and they say, hi, we'd like to pay you $250,000. Okay, great. I'll be at your event. Thanks. Right? No form required. So when we're in that category, not the $250,000 category, but the 7,500, 10K, 12K, 15K, 20K, that's the category where it's like, no, this isn't just like a beauty contest with a form. This goes way beyond the beauty contest with a form. This is about, let's put them in front of the committee. Let's have some initial conversation with them. Let's see how they can help us. So you gotta know how that game works. And I just told you how that game works. So Christy, the other Christy, spelled differently, says, would like to bounce potential service offerings off of David to get feedback, would like to offer strategic work sessions with two options. One is more corporate. The other is a more fun atmosphere. All right, lay it on me. What does that look like?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. So I'm still kind of fleshing it out, right? Writing it out, thinking about the outcomes, like you said, what's in it for them, that kind of thing. But this was something that after my last live event in March of last year, I got with my team and they said, Kristie, you're more of a fun person. You like to do events. You like to do parties. And people love that stuff. People love the fun aspect of what I do. I tend to be a pretty energetic, enthusiastic speaker. I've had a lot of people say they love my energy. So I thought, well, how can I monetize that and bring that to life? Because I do like the corporate world. I like leadership. So I was like, well, wonder if I could do something like a leadership party or, like bring that to the corporation. And I don't want to say party. I mean, it sounds so
sure, like
frat, right? I don't know. I don't know what the name of it would be, but it would be something like that where you're bringing that to them, but, to speak in outcomes, you're kind of bringing a little more energy to your department, to your company, to whatever. Maybe they're on a downturn of productivity. Maybe the motivation of the employees isn't there. Maybe there's been job cuts. People aren't, feeling it. You know what I'm talking about. That kind of stuff. Now, but when I say party, it's not just, okay, let's just have fun and motivation. This is actually going to be what can we do to turn it around? Here's some leadership things. Here's some things to think about for teamwork, culture, that kind of stuff. But I mean, but with a party theme, you know what I mean?
So here's what I would do. And there's ways to bake this into your offerings without it looking gimmicky or, without it undermining your credibility if you decide to do it the other way. So I'll tell you a quick story that illustrates exactly how the sales conversation might work when you're talking to somebody. Ron Carr, who's a very successful sales speaker, former president of our National Speakers Association at the national level. Ron is all about sales. He's a sales speaker, sales leadership. That is his arena. He tells the story of getting 2 calls, both in the same week. The first call, hey, Ron, you're a sales guy. We have a sales meeting coming up, and our folks really need a boost, and they really need a jolt, and, you seem to be the right guy, and we love your book, and so on and so forth. And Ron says, okay, well, on a scale of 0 to 100, right, how much content versus how much motivation, entertainment, inspiration are you looking for?
Oh, okay.
Ron says, here's how the first call went. First call says, no, we want like 80% content. I mean, 20% can be fun and, tell a few jokes and whatever, but we're after the hardcore content, man. Our people are hating it. They need strategies. They need tactics. They need tools. They need to pull the nose up on the plane. They need to make this work. We need to equip them with how to go out there and be much more successful very, very quickly. And Ron says, okay, great. I'm your guy. I can do that. Second call comes in, same week. Call starts in a very similar way. Hey, Ron, you're a sales guy. We got a sales meeting. Times are terrible. Our folks are hating it. They need some help. Ron asks the same question. On a scale of 0 to 100, right, 100% pie, what percentage hardcore content, teaching and learning, what percentage motivation, humor, inspiration, laughs, etc.? Meeting planner says the following. Oh, Ron, oh my God, this needs to be 80% humor, 80% laughter. These guys are in a terrible way. Their mood is terrible. It's all gloom and doom. We need someone to come in, lighten the mood. I mean, sure, you got some sales tricks or sales tips, terrific. We want someone to come in, lighten the mood, make them laugh, have some fun, reconnect with joy, blah, 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 blah. Ron says, I totally get it. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. Let me refer you to someone who will do an awesome job for your group. Now, if Ron had both programs, right, if Ron did have like the party that Kristie wants to have, you say, okay, well, now I know I've got the serious core content program and I've got the more experiential kind of fun, humor, inspiration, still with a message, right? But when Ron had those two conversations with very similar kinds of buyers, and one wanted total hardcore content, teaching, takeaways, templates, scripts. The other one was presenting the same situation, right? These guys are hating it. Times are terrible. We just want to make them laugh. We just want to make it light. We just want to make it fun. If you want to throw in some tips, great. But it's really about, pick up their mood and make them happy again. And so Ron knew who he was in that picture. And he took the first gig and he referred out the second gig. You can say, okay, I've got a program for A, I've got a program for B. Now they're very different programs because they have very different outcomes. But you can totally have that in your back pocket for every sales conversation that you have on a scale of 0 to 100. How much content and how much motivation, inspiration, fun, party?
That's really interesting that you bring that up, because in my notes before I got on the phone with you, I put 2 different types. I said it would be like, I didn't exactly use your terms, but I was like, okay, well, I can do 2 types. I can do one that's more party with some, and then more, then one that's more leadership with some party, or whatever. Right. But I like the way that you just did that to say, I mean, like you really just put it in perspective of scale 0 to 100. Do you want the full blown, or do you want kind of,
right.
like you said, 80-20 or 20-80? So, okay, so that makes sense. So now it's just a matter of marketing, putting it together, because I didn't know if that was even something that, because I looked it up. I looked up Fun Expert. I looked Leadership Party. I Googled all that stuff. There's nothing like that out there that I can find.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, like, what kind of research, because, like when I talked to Teresa, she says, do the research, get your market, figure out who you're going to pitch to and stuff like that. Where would you say for me to start looking up and kind of really getting that concept down?
Well, the whole notion of the competitive scan, it's not like literal direct competition, right? So it's people who are either competing or reasonable alternatives. So if your topic is leadership, I might look at a couple of leadership speakers, and there's some leadership speakers that are fun, and there's some leadership speakers that do have an entertainment component to what they do.
Yeah.
And I would just maybe even hop onto some bureau websites and look up leadership and see all the different variety, because there's some leadership people that sing, for example. There's some leadership people that do magic or acrobatics as part of what they do. There's some leadership people that, show up in character, right? So we got, Teddy Roosevelt. We got Abraham Lincoln. We have all these kind of, tribute artists that have leadership lessons from Lincoln, leadership lessons from Roosevelt. And again, it's a different kind of layer. It's not leadership party. Because if you've already Googled it, you know, well, no one does leadership parties. Maybe that becomes your thing, right? But then the alternative is, do we get the humorist? Do we get the magician? Do we get Abe Lincoln? You know, who else can we get in here that adds that extra little entertainment component to the leadership message? And so look at it more broadly. Don't literally look at who else is doing leadership parties, because no one else is doing leadership parties. That becomes your thing.
Okay. Yeah. And I was kind of trying to find my niche market, right? I mean, this was based on feedback that a lot of people have told me when I speak. So I thought maybe I should do something completely brand new that's never been done before.
Yeah.
And this would be totally up my alley.
Well, there's also a
event
difference between a fun leadership speaker and a leadership speaker who is, you know, capitalizing on this. So for example, when I speak, people often will come up to me, like almost every program, some wise guy says, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy?" And because, you know, I'm mildly funny when I speak. My comment to that is always the following. Thank you for the kind compliment, but I know that I'm only moderately funny. And what you want is a moderately funny speaker, not a moderately funny comedian. Right?
Correct.
So in speaker terms, I'm hysterical. I am just, you know, I'm one of the funniest speakers. As a humorist, useless. Like, I would be booed off the stage as a stand-up comic, as a humorist, as someone who tells jokes. Forget it. Train wreck, right? F+. As a speaker who adds humor, I'm like a B+. Some days an A-. So I'd rather stay in my strength and then add that layer of skill that I have than put myself out there as, oh yeah, it's the funny marketing guy. It's like, no, I'm not the funny marketing guy. I'm the marketing guy, and the funny is a bonus layer. But think about it that way, that do you want to make that one of your distinctions, or do you want to really make it the center of your value proposition? Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And Sam is giving me a little nudge here that I'm no John Garrett, who's one of our alumni and who is a professional comedian, but that's okay. John is totally funnier than I am. And Sam knows this.
Everybody has their strengths.
And now you guys know this. Okay. So let's go to Rocco.
Okay.
Rocco says, what do you think about the following identity? Business divorce preventer. So, you know, I think I don't like labels of any kind. You know, when someone says, what do you do? It's not like, oh, I'm the, you know, wizard of marketing. I'm the, you know, anytime you label yourself like that, it just becomes gimmicky and weird. What's much better for me is that verbal business card, right? That I work with X who want outcome Y and Z. So I work with family businesses and partnerships that want to prevent a business divorce. Right. And then you have a whole bunch of sound bites in your marketing language bank around that, you know, the numbers prove that business divorce, it's a question of when, it's not a question of if. So yeah, don't worry about giving yourself a clever moniker. No one in here needs a clever moniker. I'm the business divorce ninja. I'm the business divorce preventer. You don't need that. When you say I prevent business divorce, and you explain what that is, and there's a payoff line, and there's something that's relevant to the person you're talking to, that's the key thing. Anything more about that first question?
Yeah, so what I was doing with that is, in Module 1, you had the guy with the hacker identity. It was kind of like what's your identity in terms of being described. So I just came up with
that's a focusing tool for yourself, right? That's a focusing tool for yourself that when you're on CNN, they're going to fill in the blank with blank expert, right? So that's what that whole module is about, that section of that module. And so the idea is you can't be marketing and sales and leadership and basket weaving. You need to nail it down. So you could say, you know, here's Rocco, business divorce expert, right? Business divorce expert, or just, you know, at that point, really it's partnership expert. It's family business expert. So you have no problem nailing down the niche. You know what the niche is. That's just, you know, for folks that are still lost at sea there in Module 1 and don't know how to zero in on something, that's a crystallizing activity for them. But you already know what business you're in and what problems you solve.
Okay.
And then what do I think about the following? Market to corporate franchises to partner with them to speak to their franchisees Oh yeah, big time, big time. I mean, that's a gold mine. Absolutely. I mean, every franchise is either going to be a family business, a partnership, some kind of consortium, an investor group. Every single one of those is going to be, the wheels will fall off that bus. It's just a question of when. And it's just a question of, are they ready and are they prepared and do they have what they need in place now to be successful and to not have the resentment, not have the bitterness, not have the divisiveness grow as if they, if they're just unprepared. One day I wake up and I realize, how come I'm doing 80% of the work and you're taking all this goddamn vacation, right?
Yeah.
That happens. It happens like in a snap, doesn't it?
Right.
I'm doing all the work. We're 50-50 partners here, Rocco. I'm doing all the goddamn work. I'm in the store every freaking day, and you're playing golf 4 days a week. You're fired.
In my book.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go. But stuff like this happens on the regular, literally daily basis, all over the world. Franchises, maybe even worse because more money's at stake. I love the fact that it's franchise because franchise, they paid a lot of money to get into that franchise, and they can afford to have that go under less than an independent business owner.
Right.
Independent business owner didn't pay like a $300,000 franchise fee. They're not paying $30,000 a year to keep the. It's like, wow, guys, if this goes under, you are screwed in a big way. Big.
Have you had any experiences with any of your clients who were successful at obtaining a sponsorship deal with a franchise?
Not with a franchise. And that's not because they tried and failed. That's just no one had really a franchise-friendly business.
Okay.
Where it made really good sense, like it does in your case, to pursue a franchise opportunity. But again, the sponsorship is if they see a clear enough value proposition where it immediately talks to franchise success rate, franchise turnover, what kind of numbers are you putting up? How many of your franchisees are successful? Because now we're talking to them about how are they marketing their franchise? What's their track record of success? How many of their franchises go under each year? Oh, that's interesting. So you lost 37 franchises. Out of those 37, how many were caused by the kinds of problems you prevent? Oh, 29. Wow. What if those 29 franchises were still up and running and successful and healthy today? Right? Now you're talking millions of dollars. And any franchise that has, multiple hundred, multiple thousand, in some cases tens of thousands, they have this problem all the time. Oh yeah, the family, dad died and the kids had this bitter court dispute and the whole thing went under. Well, could have fixed that. It was two brothers and, one decided to buy the other out and okay, we could have fixed that. And it just goes all the way down the list, right? And so when you're talking to a franchisor about how many are you losing and what does that mean to you and, and what else, and what else, and what else, and what's that costing you? Where else does that show up? Why else is that a problem? How is that affecting your franchise prospectus? How else is that affecting your new franchisee application rate? What do your franchisees fear when they sign up? Oh, I fear, I'm going to get in a fight with my brother. I'm going to lose the business. We're going to go bankrupt. Okay. What if you said, okay, we have a program that because we know a lot of franchises are family-owned businesses, partner-owned businesses, we bake this into our franchise program from day one. So from day one, you're going to get business divorce prevention training, courtesy of us, courtesy of Liberty Tax Service, courtesy of Dunkin' Donuts, courtesy of whatever, so that when you and your brother-in-law are running the donut shop together, you don't kill each other and you have a much stronger chance of success. Sponsored by Liberty Tax Service, Dunkin' Donuts, whoever it is. That could be very, very successful. I would totally research more into that and start even turning up some executives and people to talk to for initial conversations.
Great. Thank you.
I like that a lot. So Karyn says, I want to add more consulting to my business model. Do I put that on the website or is that for FU? I think I know what FU means. Follow-up conversations. What differences, if any, in pitching a consulting package to? Okay, so it's a lot. Okay, so here's the deal. And this is great, and we've crossed this bridge several times with many successful people. It's going from a kind of keynote model, speaking-centric model, to speaking plus back end. Speaking plus back end, 3-month program, 6-month program, long-term professional development program. sometimes depending on your comfort level, depending on your personal preferences, that follow-up can simply be a packaged series of other speeches and other seminars. People say, oh, I don't like coaching. Great, don't coach. Oh, I'm not really a consultant. Great, don't do consulting, right? What do they need to hear from you or get from you every single month for repetition, reinforcement, application that will continue their path down the road to getting this certain outcome? So maybe it's a video series every month. Maybe it's email support. Maybe it's a monthly Q&A call, fireside chat, call it whatever you want to call it. And then 6 times, right, for the next 6 months, I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to fly out to where you guys are, and we're going to do another program, another one-day program, half-day program, whatever it is. And it's going to be a curriculum, right? So this is planned. It's not just random. So there's 6 modules in Karyn's super-duper program for humor and leadership. And you simply have a programmatic menu of, here's what we do. This is the kickoff session. This is session number 1. And we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In between, you're getting a reinforcement video. In between, you have office hours with Karyn. In between, you have maybe a group conference call, right? Just to kind of check in, accountability check in, buddy check in, call it what you will. You know, you're giving them maybe some templates and tools and scripts. In between, how do I add humor in my next team meeting? How do I add a little bit of constructive humor in my next tough conversation with a one-on-one, right? My one-on-one, my direct reports. How do I add humor to my performance reviews without losing credibility or coming off like a clown or their best friend? How do I add humor in just our regular kind of culture? That, you know, we are known as a culture that laughs, right? We take our work very seriously, and we're able to laugh at ourselves, and we're able to have some fun on a regular daily basis, because that's what a strong workplace culture does. So these are the kind of messages that, yeah, you can talk about that in a keynote, you can talk about that in a speech, but then when people say, oh, well, this was great, what's next? You say, well, I'll tell you what's next. I have this 6-month program or this 90-day program, and here's how it works, and here's what you get, and more importantly, here's the outcomes that we're going to, you know, build in this high performance humor into everything you do. High performance humor in the way you communicate, the way you lead, the way you sell, the way you collaborate, the way that you have team meetings, all of this stuff. And Karyn, you've got this curriculum that's ready to go. And they say, well, how much is that? And if the keynote is whatever, $15K, and then 6 of these programs, 6 times 15 is 90, right? It's a $90,000 program. And then on top of that, they get the videos, they get the email support, they get the office hours, they get the group call with Karyn. You don't need to sell a lot of those $90,000 programs to have a very nice year. So you could do that, you know, beta test it with your 3 favorite clients that have brought you in for keynote after keynote after keynote. Now you have it in your back pocket, so the next time you're having a sales conversation with somebody, it's ready to go, it's ready to sell. And now you say, listen, keynote's 15, you love the keynote, let's do this big program. In fact, if you sign up for the big program, within 14 days, I will apply the keynote fee to your program fee. So I'll apply your $15K that you paid me to get on stage to your $90K 6-month program. I'll just bill you $75 for the 6-month program, because you booked it within 14 days, and now there's a financial incentive to follow up right away and write you a $75,000 check right after they've written you a $15,000 check. So that's pretty cool. All right. Who's got the next question? Morgan says, last one in the pre-submitted queue. I'm scared now because that means we'll have time for some extra questions. Oh, so that was the last one. That was the last one you said in the pre-submitted queue. That's the last one that you have. Okay, cool. All right, so open time. Who else has a question? What else are you working on? Kip, sorry. Kip says, with a change to my company name, I'll be changing and simplifying the website. So yes, I mentioned this. So Kip, thank you for coming back for a quick second. I gave the answer in the recording back when you were in the breakout room. So Module 5 has an entire section about rules of the road for speaker websites. Do you remember coming across that yet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any specific questions about what's in there or what to simplify from your website?
I will look at it again.
Okay. And then you're preparing the one sheet. That is totally something Allison can help with. Is that where you just were?
No, I was with Teresa.
Okay. So I would pop in right now with Allison, not that we don't want to see your smiling face, but you have extra access to Allison today.
Okay.
So I would hop in there, and if you want to do that, Morgan can pop you in there.
Great. Okay, we'll do that.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. So that was our final pre-submitted question. So thank you, Kip. Thank you, everybody. Now, let me open it up what I did a second ago. Who else has a question? What else can I help with? What else, even as answers to other people's questions, maybe popped in and is causing a question for you? What else can we do for you guys? So Ted had a question as well. Don't have them. So it depends if they were submitted in type form or not. We can just open up. Ted, just go ahead and fire up your mic and we can hear your question directly from the source.
So I just put them in chat. The two questions that I had were, one, we talked last time about Vistage not allowing pitches.
Yes.
But they are definitely more our target market than even associations are, because the C-suite is our target market, and they go to YPO and Vistage, and they send their lackeys to association meetings, and their underling managers go to those. So we still need to get into associations, but in a crowd of 200 people or 500 people at an association speaking engagement, there's only about 10% CEOs, where we can get a dozen or 15 CEOs in a Vistage room, but as we covered last time, only half of them are really running a going concern.
Okay.
But the question that I have for you is in your, this is where it takes kind of the spin doctor approach, right? How do you pitch without making a pitch? Like, what's your advice to, basically in your speech, you can reference, I've done this, and when we've done this for other organizations and that type of stuff. But I think there are ways to not just say, here's the call to action, call me for coaching, but you can still kind of make the offer in there for that CEO group. What are your thoughts on working that into the speech or into the, you can always say, hey, they allow you to say, if you have any further questions, give me a call, and you hand your card out, but that's about all you can do. Is there a way that you found successful to make a pitch without it, a disguised, camouflaged pitch?
Well, so yes and no. Yes and no. And I've worked with a lot of Vistage speakers that have done hundreds and hundreds and thousands of these presentations. And so some of this is from their experience as well as just kind of what I've seen work and not work. So so you've been doing Vistage speaking for how long?
Well, we've done it for the last couple of years. We got Vistage certified, which is a process itself, but probably only spoken to, I think, about 4 groups. And each time we have 1 or 2 people follow up that becomes a lead. So it's a good target. We have as many people follow up out of that as we do out of 150 association meeting. Yeah.
And that's great data. That's great to know. So I've worked, I've talked to folks like Gary Markle, who's done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of programs. His company is called Energage. Barry Deutsch is a recruiting expert. He does Vistage speaking as his primary market. Holly Green does innovation, hundreds and hundreds of Vistage talks. As you know, Ted, even from doing just a handful, a lot of this depends on the chair. And the chair is either going to be your advocate, chair is going to be neutral, or chair is going to be your worst possible enemy. And wants to basically put duct tape around your mouth and say, get out of my house. Hey, you kids, get off my lawn. So a lot of this depends on the chair. What I have seen work and what these guys tell me has worked really well for them after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of talks on their part is the strategies that you mentioned, certainly, things like the soft mentions, seeding, dropping hints throughout, giving them some kind of follow-up mechanism, right? Some kind of value add, either it's a cheat sheet or a lead magnet or something that you're going to say. So, for example, this works really well 80% of the time. And my client, Holly, who does Vistage Talks probably 4 or 5 times a month and has for the last 20 years, she says, I was just at a Vistage meeting and the chair was a total jerk. And what he did, because she like collects their cards to get the special report. Well, the chair collects the cards and says, Holly, you send me the report and I'll distribute it. Right? Totally put her in a bubble. And she's sitting there. And of course, what can you say, right? When there's 14 CEOs like, you son of a bitch, you no good rat bastard. That's what she wanted to say. She smiled and said, okay, Bill, great, will do. Thanks. And just wanted to kill the guy. So 8 times out of 10, she collects the cards. She sends the follow-up. They love her. She gets business out of that. The other thing that she does, and maybe this is something that you want to try as well, Vistage for consulting gigs sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. What Holly in particular has found is Vistage is great, not for doing end work with the client, but for getting referrals to speaking gigs. Because the same CEOs, they're on the board of their association, they're the big wigs, they're the big fish, they've got connections. And so sometimes when you drop and mention, you know, last year I was doing a keynote for, because that doesn't compete with the chair. Here's what's funny. Consulting, the chair, if it's a scarcity-minded chair, it will compete with the chair. No, I want them to come to me for consulting.
Right.
Keynote speech in front of 400 people, well, the chair's not going to do that. You're going to do that. Eddie's going to do that. I'm going to do that. Bob is going to do that. We're all going to do that. So when you say, I was giving a keynote last year for the American Payroll Association, this problem came up. Here's what I told them. And now you're planting the seed. Oh, associations. Oh, keynote. And then just casually, even on the break, you say, listen, I'm doing a lot of keynote speaking these days. I don't know if this is something that, you know, if you're on the board of an association or whatever, and you're simply doing a very quick asking for air. It's not about, hey, I want to do business with you. It's, hey, what associations do you belong to? What associations do you find value from? Because if you're loving it, maybe they will. And that's where you trot out the referral blurb, and that's where you can start to get some advocates and champions from the Vistage community that would set you up for the association speaking. So Vistage sometimes leads to Vistage work, and Vistage sometimes leads to association work.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I've never asked that. I don't think even the Vistage chair would see a speaker saying, hey, no, by the way, I've done this keynote. I did this as a keynote. Oh, if you guys are probably looking for keynote speakers for the boards that you're on. So if you ever need one, let me know. I don't even think the Vistage chair would see that as selling, because you're not selling your product. You're not selling your consulting. You're just offering to help them out, right? Like, hey guys, if you need a speaker, and I do think that I would say probably 75% of the speaking keynotes that we've done in the last 20 years, 75% of them have come from an executive who was on the board of an association or whatever that then said, hey, you need to get this guy in there. So that's a brilliant idea, David. The other question I had was, I've seen quite a bit of discussion, and you mentioned this about Sam, but I wanted to ask you, we've had lots of discussion even today about Zoom, or Loom and Boom Boom and
right,
you know, MailChimp, Constant Contact. Yeah, what a great name, Boom Boom. So let me try to get you to boil it down. Let's say you're advising yourself and you're running a speaking engagement, right? You're facing yourself in the mirror and you're running a speaking engagement company or starting one or however you want to look at it. And I know there's lots of options, and you're going to say it's situational to your business. Maybe this one works better, whatever. But what would be like the 5? What are the 5 pieces of technology that you'd be like, you know what? I got to get a Zoom, a subscription for $15. I think I'd do, this autoresponder follow-up technology here. What are the 5 that you would say? Oops, there's my text. What are the 5 that you would say, if you have nothing else, you need these 5?
Sure. I'm not sure if it's 5. And I'll go down the list and we'll see how many we end up with. So I think some kind of email newsletter software is important. For years and years and years, I was using Constant Contact. The only reason I stopped using Constant Contact is when my business model shifted to a more internet marketing model and not the speaking and training model that you're asking about, right? I got flagged and too much spam and blah, 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 blah. And so since then, I've moved to more internet marketing friendly software. But Constant Contact I used for 10 years and very successfully, very high deliverability, decent formatting. The emails always looked good. So even though Constant Contact doesn't like me anymore, I still like them. I'm being the bigger person. So Constant Contact for sure. I think having some sort of video capability, whether it's BombBomb for the emails, whether it's Zoom for small group kind of pre-meetings. I'll tell you, it's funny. When you invite someone to a Zoom meeting instead of a phone meeting, it just impresses the hell out of them. They're like, "Oh, this is cool." And again, you think, well, this isn't rocket science. It's like video. We've had Skype for years. We've had all these other, Google Hangouts for years. But Zoom makes it easy. And you say, well, here's my private Zoom link. Let's just hop on a quick video call. You go, this is so cool. So I would totally do something like this. I think the other piece of technology that is important is some kind of lead capture mechanism. So whether that goes like lead pages, for example, is what we use. So we have offers. Like when I go to speak, I'll say, go to doitmarketing.com/whatever. And that goes to a lead page, lead capture mechanism, so they can get the cheat sheet, they can get the slides, they can get a special report. So I want to capture both buyer emails and I want to capture audience emails. Pardon me, because the audience is where that follow-up might come, or in the Vistage world where that association speaking referral might come, etc. And so I want to have something kind of juicy and fun and professional looking as a lead capture device. I also think having a scheduler is really, really important, like Schedule Once or Calendly, or again, I use Schedule Once, so of course I'm going to recommend Schedule Once. And I make no money off of any of this, so who cares? You use what you want to use, but Ted said, give me your 5. So here's my 5. When someone says, hey, David, can I talk to you? Can we book a call to talk about our conference? Can we book a call to talk about maybe some consulting? I said, sure. Help yourself to my calendar. Here's the link. And I send them the link. And then here's what 9 times out of 10, if it's a stone cold stranger, they will say, you know what? I like the way you do business. And I ask them, I said, what? Okay, thanks. What are you talking about? They say, even that calendar link that you sent me, that was super slick. That was super professional. What is that? How do I get one? And so I tell them about Schedule Once. And I say, it's Schedule Once. It's a software package. You can set it up the way you want. So right away, even before they talk to me, their experience going through that Schedule Once to get on my calendar, they thought that was very smooth and professional and slick. So, what I'll say is let's say we're having a customization meeting with the committee. And the committee says, oh, we've got 4 people here. I don't know what Judy's calendar is. I'm not sure what Bob is doing. I said, let me make it easy for you guys. I'll send you a link. You pick a time on my schedule that's open for the 4 of you. All of those times that are open times are my open times. Help yourself. Let me know what works for all 4 of you. And it's like I just gave them magic beans. They're like, oh my God, that makes it so easy. It's like, yeah, well, there you go. So it makes it easy to do business with you. It makes it easy to get on your calendar. Why are they getting on your calendar? To give you money. So I like making it easy for folks to give me money, right? So I would totally do something like that in the calendar realm, either Calendly or Schedule Once. Again, I use Schedule Once. ScheduleOnce.com is the thing. Sam is whispering in my ear here about our agreement program that we use, which again, you can use whatever. As you guys know, because you all signed it, we have right signature. So speaking agreements, consulting agreements, you can templatize all these agreements, right? How many times do you go in, oh, I have to write the agreement? It's like, no, it's a templatized agreement. They fill in their name, they fill in their company, they digitally sign it, it comes back to you in minutes, and people go, oh, that speaking agreement, that was super easy. What software are you using? Right Signature, rightsignature.com. So have something like that where, again, I want to make it easy to find me. Here's the world. I want you to be easy to find. I want you to be easy to talk to. I want you to be easy to download from and get value from. I want you to be easy to pay money to. So if I say, okay, here's my schedule, let's talk. Oh, this is great. Great. Here's the link to get my goodie. Oh, that's great. Here's the link when, we decided to yes, I'm going to send you my electronic agreement. You click through, you sign a couple things digitally, you hit submit, you get a PDF copy, I get a PDF copy, we're ready to go. It is a beautiful, easy, streamlined thing. So I'm not sure if that's one of my top things. We added that. We used to do this manually. Here's the Word document. Here's the PDF. Scan it back, email it back. Huge pain in the butt. Now we use Right Signature. We send them a link. It's a templatized contract. They fill in the blanks, and we determine the blanks that they fill in. They sign it, and they say, fantastic, $12,500 speaking fee on this date, this topic. Hit submit, and it's done. Very, very, very easy. So
David, here's what I've got. Ready?
Yeah.
Constant Contact or some email campaign management. I have that. We use that. We like it. We've also used My Newsletter Builder, which is not really a newsletter builder. It's more like Constant Contact, but about the same. Video capability through Zoom. We use GoToMeeting. Same thing.
Sure.
Scheduler. We use Calendly. So same thing. The Right Signature thing we have not used, but I like that idea to automate contract signing, etc. Lead capture, you said, we have lead pages on the website where people, but is there a technology you recommend for lead capture? Or you're just saying have a lead, like a landing page on your website that captures their...
So lead pages, leadpages.net is software.
So that's the software. Okay.
It's kind of a graphical landing page creator that makes it very easy to build landing pages without having to hire a web designer or get involved in a lot of crazy back-end technology.
And what about then CRM? What do you recommend?
You use
Salesforce?
Great too. I keep it super simple. I personally use Pipedrive. The team, because the team is smarter than me, uses one-page CRM. And we've also used Highrise. So Highrise is made by the same people that make Basecamp. So I love Pipedrive because it's visual and it's easy and it's fun, and I never need to keep track of more than, let's say, 15 or 20 deals are in my pipeline at any given moment. It is perfect for that. If I had hundreds of deals, I would not use Pipedrive. But for a speaking business, again, if you have 20 deals in play, you're doing great. Salesforce is industrial strength, super duper. If you can, navigate that, manage that, fly that starship, more power to you. A lot of people find that more complex than they need. So that's why I use Pipedrive. Another one to look at is one-page CRM. It's called one-page CRM.
Yeah, I would agree. We have used Salesforce for the last 5 years, and I find that it does everything you need and then some, and then that's kind of the problem, is it's so cumbersome that it's like built for an enterprise. And so I'm looking at, we need to simplify our CRM, and so thanks for those recommendations.
Yeah. And by the way, this would have been a great breakout session with Sam, but now we've answered it, and we'll circle back to this maybe in 3-4 weeks when other people have tech questions. But see, Sam, this was your breakout room, and I stole your thunder. I stole your thunder right there. And I probably gave incomplete answers too. It's like, no, don't tell them about that. Tell them about this. Why the hell are you using Constant Contact, Newman? And so we're not using Constant Contact anymore. But again, 10 years, I'd used it, 2004 to 2014. I was on Constant Contact. Then they kicked me out. But I still love them. It's okay. I'm making a lot more money now since I stopped using Constant Contact, but that's neither here nor there. You grow, because here's the other thing. And Ted's question brings up a great point, that you want to grow into the technology, right? I'm a big believer, use as simple as you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And then once you kind of hit the ceiling of what that package can do, then you move on. But when we're flying, people buying Infusionsoft or e-speakers or all this very complicated stuff, and they're not using 10% of it, my question is, why did you overbuy, right? I believe that you should kind of buy where you're at, max it out, and then you can graduate. But don't buy the Ferrari when you're just looking for an Uber. Excellent. Okay. So Rocco, did I miss anybody else in between? So Rocco says, you touched on lack of testimonials. What do you do? Yeah, okay, great. So testimonials, literally speaking, testimonials can be from any aspect of your life. They can be from any job, any career. Rocco's awesome. Rocco was such a resource. Rocco was so helpful. Rocco saved my life. And even if you rescued a puppy from a tree, Rocco saved my life, I would use that clip. Now, why? Is it ethical? Is it right? Is it, number one, is it about you? Yes, it's about you. Is it about you being an awesome human being and adding some significant value to someone else's world? Yes. If that's the case, it's really about you, and it's really a genuine testimonial, something that they said. The context can be different. Doesn't have to be about, it could be as you as an attorney. It could be you as doing a free speech. It can be you as, serving on the board of your church or your community center or whatever. Rocco was an invaluable asset. His clarity of thinking made us boom, 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 boom. I want to see that about you. Oh, that was about when I was on the board of the church. I don't care. I don't care. Is it about you? Yes. Is it about the value that you brought? Yes. Use it. As you start to go down the path of this more, Rocco 2.0, Rocco the speaker, Rocco the consultant, Rocco the public-facing expert to your law business, you're going to get more of those testimonials that are more relevant and more on point to you on stage, you as a speaker, you doing a seminar, you doing a program. That's great. As that starts to happen, just start to substitute in, right? Substitute the new ones, replace the old ones, do a little house cleaning, cycle them through. But any testimonial from anywhere, if you don't have any testimonials, I would go on a little bit of a campaign. I would go back to the people who already know you and love you and have some experience of you. And I would do this on LinkedIn, because then the LinkedIn testimonial stays on LinkedIn. You can then recycle and repurpose that on your website, on your one sheet, wherever else you need it to be. And say, hey guys, I've been really neglecting my LinkedIn profile. I know we've did some great work together in the past. Would you be wonderful enough to post a few comments as a recommendation for me on LinkedIn? Send that to 15 people. You get 9 recommendations in a week. And then you go from 9 to 15 to 20 to however many you want. And that's how to collect them. That's how to use what you have with where you are, and then also more proactively start to collect more as you start to enter this new realm.
In terms of speaking, so I've done a couple of the Chamber of Commerce events, as I told you about.
Right.
Does that, I'm thinking about going back to some of the Chamber of Commerce presidents that I've, spoken in front of, but does that, if I put that on my speaking website, is that going to target me as an amateur speaker?
Maybe. But then the question is, where else can we get testimonials from? Right? And then if you have a really great so here's the deal. One of the two sides of the testimonial equation needs to be strong. So either it's an awesome testimonial from totally the wrong person. I still want to see that. Or it's a so-so testimonial from Elon Musk. Rocco did not trip over the podium. Elon Musk. Terrible testimonial. Holy crap, he's got a testimonial from Elon Musk. I'm obviously being extreme here on both sides of this. Now, if both are good, right, so it's a name brand company, Ford Motor Company, right, Google, IBM, Amazon, the National Bank of Wyoming. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to sound big. National Bank of Wyoming is like 2 branches. But either awesome language from a so-so source like a chamber president, okay language, decent, but not great from an awesome name brand client that's a name brand company. Both are great, or they're both terrible. If they're both terrible, it's like, don't use it. Or go back to that person and see if they want to give you a fresher, better one. So I wouldn't be too picky. If you have an overabundance, then of course be picky. If they're kind of scarce and then you want to get more, go ahead and get more, but then make sure you ask the right kind of people. But if they really love you, I don't care if they're a chamber president. Rocco is the best program we've ever had. Bob Schmedlap, chamber president. I'd like to see that testimonial because that guy brings in a lot of speakers.
Okay.
So kind of balance that out. Balance that out with how great are their words versus who are they, and you want to aim for a happy balance. Obviously, one side or the other should be strong. Sometimes both are strong. And then you can always collect new ones. I mean, the reason I mentioned this earlier about, you're always going to have doubt. You're always going to have self-esteem. You can have like 179 testimonials and recommendations and letters and whatever, and you still wake up and you have a bad day. So it's not like, don't worry. After you collect all these testimonials, you're going to feel great about yourself. Well, some days you will, and some days you're still going to be consumed by self-doubt and, oh God, I got to do this again. So don't let that get you down. Testimonials are great, but they're not the be-all, end-all, and it's all part of the equation.
Do you get video testimonials from audience members? And
I do. I totally do. Now, again, sometimes that's a train wreck, and
well, you can always delete those, right?
You can. So I have some great ones. I really do. I'm so proud of these. And then I have the one guy where I had my phone, and the way to get a video testimonial, by the way, is, let's say I'm going to speak for Bob, because I am going to come speak for Bob. So why not pick on Bob? I'm going to go speak for Bob. And if Bob and I were doing an in-person program, I'd say, hey, Bob, would you be wonderful enough to just hop out in the hallway with me and give me a quick 30-second testimonial? And, Bob's like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, no, this was great. Okay, whatever. Or Bob has said something nice to me, and I say, hey, would you be wonderful enough for me to capture what you just said on video? And then I coach them. I say, Bob, here's what you say. Hi, my name is Bob Pakanowski. I just saw David at the American Plumbers Association, and the best thing about his program was, I said, you got it? I got it. So most people are pretty good. They can remember their name. They can remember where they are. So it's like, hi, this is Susan Jones. I just saw David Newman speak at the American Legal Nurses Association, and the best thing about David's program was, and then they say something. And then they get into it, right? As soon as you give them that script. I had a guy, I still have the video. I'll post the YouTube link if you guys are morbidly curious. Got a lot of great testimonials. I find this guy comes, oh yeah, your program was great. Your program was like, this is the kind of guy he was. Program was great. I said, would you be wondering? Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I'll be on video. I said, okay, here's what you say. My name is Bill. I just saw David. I just saw David Newman present at the Expel Dealers Conference in San Antonio, Texas. And the best thing about his program was, I turn on the camera. Hi, this is Bill Schmedlap. And I just saw, and his face is like this. From behind the camera, I go, David Newman. I just saw David Newman speak. And he forgot my name. So I'm getting the video testimonial from the guy, and he literally forgot my name. Now, the testimonial that came out of his mouth after, oh, yeah, it was really good. He was top notch. It was just terrible. So I didn't end up using it. Now, if he had messed up my name and it was an awesome testimonial, what I'd say is, Bill, let's take the first part of that again, right? My name is Bill Schmedlap. I just saw David Newman speak at the American Legal Nurses Association, so I would have coached him further. But that's how to get a good video, is just give them the first two lines. Tell them my name. Here's how it's going to go. You're going to say, my name is, fill in your name. I just saw Susan Murphy at the American Legal Nurses Association, and the best takeaway from Susan's program was, and then they get rolling. And they'll give you 2 or 3 things. You can, of course, edit. You can shorten those down. But I do recommend video testimonials for lots of reasons. Written is great. Video, when you can see the whites of their eyes, when you can get them right there in the moment, when you hear the hustle and bustle in the background, that means that you're out there doing it, right? That means that you're the real deal and people love you. So give them the script. Don't just turn on the camera and go, okay, start talking. Because people will freeze up. For some reason, I've noticed this freeze up reaction, for some reason, tends to happen with female audience members more than male audience members. I think it's because men are never afraid to look like idiots. And women have a little bit more common sense, and they need to kind of get their thoughts together before they open their mouths. Most men, not the case. They'll just start riffing, even if they forget your name. I've never had a female audience member forget my name in the middle of a video. But the guys, oh yeah, no, turn that thing on. Turn that thing on, I'm ready. And off they go. So there you go. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. I just heard Ricky, Randy, Rocco, something. They'll just butcher it. Terrible. Okay. What else? We're in our final home stretch here. What else can I help with? What else are you working on? Judy says, do I know of a good tracking system for speakers to manage contacts and programs? Not a fan of Excel. Yeah, so that's our CRM question, where my recommendation is Pipedrive. Pipedrive.com is very simple, very easy to use. In fact, if you're not careful here, I'll even fire it up for you. We'll do a little quick 30-second screen share so you can see what I mean about visual. And I demoed this on a webinar, but let me pop it into here and a little screen sharing action. And this is what Pipedrive looks like. So you set this up completely. Can you guys see this okay? So it says prospect, contact made, call scheduled, conversation, second conversation, email follow-up, and decision call. So that is how that looks. That is how it's set up. And so Kip is asking about customize. I totally customize. So you set up these stages, right? So I decided that I'm going to have a 7-stage process. I decided this is called prospect. When I first set this up, I decided this is contact made. I decided call scheduled, conversation. So I said, if you have 5 steps, great. If you have 9 steps, great. You can totally customize this. Here's the cool thing. When I say, okay, I know I want to reach out. Here's my active 20, right? Tammy Robertson from LinkedIn, I'm going to get in touch with her this week. When I get in touch with her this week, I pick her up and I move her, like I'm just dragging this into contact made, right? Hey, Tammy, I saw that you're the meeting planner for the American so-and-so association. Would love to hop on a call. I do a marketing program for small and solo business. Oh, David, I'd love to talk to you. How's Friday at 6 o'clock? Friday 6 o'clock is fantastic. Move her over to call scheduled, right? So I'm in here. This is a full CRM. I can take notes. I can add activities, calls, meetings, tasks, deadlines. I can blind carbon copy myself on an email. So our whole email thread is in here. I can upload attachments or screenshots. I can send email right from here, which I don't use because I find that too complicated. But again, this is about growing into the software. And here's the coolest thing I think with this. If my speaking fee or the programs that I'm talking to these people about are $9,500, $10,000, $12,000, whatever, I can see, it's time to refill my bucket. I better go back into my active 20 because my prospects, I just have Vanessa Christman, who I happen to be married to, because I put her in this little mock demo account. She's a prospect. But look, my pipeline, I've got $34,500 of contact made, $15,000 of call scheduled, 7,500 initial conversations, 22,000 of second conversations, 30,000 of email follow-ups, and I've got decision calls coming up worth $39,000. So I can get an overall value of my pipeline, and this is a very motivating thing. I'm like a small child when it comes to this. I like to see colors. I like to see things moving. I like to move my building blocks. I like to see numbers. I guess a small child doesn't like the numbers part, but I like to see I've got like $70,000 of stuff in the pipeline. If everyone says yes, I'm getting $70,000. This also motivates me to move people further down the pipeline quicker, right? You make contact with someone. Here's what typically happens. You say, I emailed them back on January 2nd. I don't want to bother them. And now it's like February 6th. And you've let 4 weeks go by. They've totally forgotten about you. That deal is totally run cold. There was no action step. There was no follow-up. They're not going to call you. They're not going to email you. And it just dissipated. If I had put them in Pipedrive, we talked on January 2nd. I put them in Pipedrive on January 2nd. I say, let's put a push pin in the calendar and let's just check in with each other next week. I've got January 8th or January 9th. Which one works better for you? January 9th, fantastic. 10 o'clock in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. 3 in the afternoon, awesome. Send them a confirmation email, right? Contact made, second I'm moving them down the pipe. I'm moving them from column to column. I want to drive them to yes or drive them to no as soon as possible. The other nice thing with a system like Pipedrive is you're not deluding yourself about, oh yeah, I got lots of deals I'm working on. No. If it's not in Pipedrive, it doesn't exist. If it's like maybe, someday, kinda, shoulda, maybe this is a potential sponsor, maybe I'll reach out to this association, maybe this company wants a program. No, that's the self-delusional crazy talk. Put them in Pipedrive, have a parking lot down the first column called prospect, right? Prospect is a prospect until you make first contact. When you make first contact, pick up their cute little square, move them into first contact. Go in. Did you email them? Did you call them? Did you get referred? Did you get introduced? Did you send them a LinkedIn message? You can put all of that in there, right? Did you invite them to an interview, right? Did you ask them for air, right? All of our strategies you can put right into Pipedrive, and then you're moving people towards a check. So when you hear Teresa and I say the following, what are you doing every single day to move yourself one step closer to a check? We're literally thinking of some kind of Pipedrive or CRM where you're literally moving your prospects one step closer to a check, from the left side of that screen to the right side of that screen, where it's the deal is sold, the contract is signed, the 50% deposit check is sitting in your bank account, you're a super happy camper, let's do the next one. And again, I don't have 100 deals going at once. I've got, 15, 20, whatever it is, but always 15 or 20. Always 15 or 20 are in play. I drop some off. A lot of people say no. Some people say yes. I keep refilling the left side, and I keep moving them through with value, with outreach, with relationship, with building rapport, and building trust along the way. So I really recommend something like that, because otherwise it's easy to kid yourself that, oh yeah, I'm working on a lot of deals. And then show me your Pipedrive. I don't want to show you my Pipedrive because my Pipedrive is empty. Okay, well, let's fill your Pipedrive. And then you can show me your Pipedrive. And then pretty soon you can show me your bank account. And you'll be really happy with what you see in both places. So that's the story with that.
Hey, David.
All right.
I hopped on after you started talking about it. That's incredible. I was actually going to ask the group and you about such a thing, because I didn't know whether to buy one of those big boards at Staples, but this is so much better.
So much.
What's the cost per Pipedrive? What does it cost to?
I think it's like $20 a month or something like that. And there's a free 30-day trial. You can just try it out. It's super cheap.
Thank you. So worth it. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
And then, so we got Karyn and Christy, and then we're out. So Karyn says, how many times do you remind someone for testimonials? I have folks that enthusiastically promise to send. I send reminders. So here's the trick. I would write the testimonial in advance. And the entree to that is, Dear Barbara, thank you so much for being willing to write a testimonial for our work together. I've taken the liberty of capturing what I remember you saying about our program in the following paragraph. Feel free to make any changes or edits and send it back to me. When you write out exactly what you think you want them to say, 99% of the time, oh, Karyn, that sounds great. Yeah, Karyn, go ahead and use that. Because they're lazy. They're lazy and they're busy and they don't want to think about it. So when you write it, I think it's important to reflect as much as possible of what they said and what the context of your work together was. I also like, when we write it, we only have one advantage, is that you know the testimonials that you already have, and you know some areas where you'd like to beef up testimonials. So let's say you have a lot of testimony about how funny you are, about how valuable, about how you customize, but nothing yet about engaging, nothing yet about interactive. So you can say some things in this testimony that you're going to send to Barbara, but also say, Karyn's program was so engaging, so hands-on, people felt that, they were in a workshop even though it was a keynote. Okay, I want her to say that. I want to kind of put those words in her mouth, even if she didn't exactly say that, but she complimented me on my engagement. And maybe she even said, oh my God, this felt like a workshop and you had 2,000 people in the palm of your hand. I want to see that, because that is going to be a supplement and a complement to all the other testimonials that I already have in the house. So look for weak spots. Look for areas where you want to kind of beef up or shore up a certain aspect of your work, And then when you write the testimonial, you can slant the testimonial slightly to get that extra dimension to what you want to add to your already collected testimonials that you've already used. So that's how to do that. And then Christy says, what do I think of Kajabi? What features do I use? So I love Kajabi because obviously our training modules are sitting in Kajabi. And again, this is a great Sam question. So I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to hide. But Christy, I would love you to ask Sam, because Sam has a lot of experience with other learning management systems. I would totally post that in the Facebook group. And then I think the next time we do this, I think the consensus is we're going to do a operations and tech and software and systems breakout room, and Sam will be able to answer all of your questions about all of those kind of things. And so yeah, we can totally talk to Sam about Kajabi. And so basically, it's funny because just like we were talking about with Ted's question, it's not even what I recommend. You guys know what I recommend because it's what I use, right? So I'm using Pipedrive, I'm using Zoom, we're using, GoToWebinar, we're using Lead Pages. I used to use Constant Contact. That was just a little, innovation since I changed out of the speaking business model purely and now moved to online marketing. For online marketing, I don't recommend Constant Contact, but you guys are doing traditional offline human-to-human marketing. Love Constant Contact, used it for that purpose myself for 10 years. So yeah, hashtag is Tech with Sam. Tech with Sam. That's great. Very, very good. Susan says, do you ask them to print their testimony on letterhead? So early on, I did. And I still have about 14 letters. And it's funny because Sam helped me work on this as well. They were dated. So I have testimonials from like 2008, 2009. So ordinarily I say, please write this. If it's a good friend, good advocate, good champion of mine, I say, do me a favor, put it on letterhead, undated. Undated. What do? They put a date. December 7th, 2008. So what we do is we have a PDF now. We go in and we doctor the PDF. We take out the date. Everything that they just said is just as valid. But I don't want people going, oh, this one's from 2018. This one's from 2013. This one's from 2008. Like, what happened? Did it get any better? I mean, I want them to be timeless. I want them to be timeless. So when they're on letterhead, because here's what I want. I want people to come to your website and be overwhelmed by your awesomeness. We're going to end on this note. We're going to be overwhelmed by your awesomeness. I want them to see testimonial clips, short little 2-3 sentence excerpts. I want them to see testimonial videos, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever they are, with people remembering your name. I want to see PDFs on letterhead that say, you were awesome, she was amazing, she was totally fantastic, she crushed it. Our folks are talking about her months and months and months after the program is over. So I want to have a multimedia blitz eventually, not on day one, but eventually. I want to have dozens and dozens and dozens of those testimonial clips, excerpts, short little blurbs. I want to have maybe 8 to 10 to 12 videos. David was awesome. David was great. Best program ever. So worth the money. Blah, 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 blah. And I want to have PDF letters that just overwhelmingly punch them in the face with value. Written, text, video, audio, PDF, everywhere. I want them to be no room for doubt that you are awesome. Just like I leave no room for doubt in my stuff with my people being awesome. So it's just another, like when you have a scanned in letter that with some buyers, maybe not with younger, kind of millennial buyers necessarily, but certainly any kind of Gen X and above, like, damn, look at that letterhead. That's good letterhead right there. And it's more concrete. It's more real. It's more believable if I have it on letterhead than some little clip that I could just make up off the top of my head. David was awesome. David was great. Signed David's mom. No, none of these come from David's mom. They don't come from Mary's husband, Bob's daughter, Jim's dad. None of this, right? No family members were harmed in collecting these testimonials. No family members were harmed in collecting these testimonials. So David is really awesome. Signed David's dog. It's like, yeah, of course your dog thinks you're awesome, but the rest of the world might have a different opinion. So let's hear from some CEOs, some VPs, some executive directors. I have a fantastic letter, just to brag for a second. The publisher of the Philadelphia Business Journal, who hired me about 3-4 times over the years to come and do a seminar. Cheap, but still. She says, we don't stake our reputation on many outside speakers. David Newman is one of them, and then it went on from there and it got better. And I was like, okay, we're totally using that. They paid me peanuts. We're totally using that testimonial. When the Philadelphia Business Journal says we don't stake our reputation on presenting a lot of speakers to our readership and to our audience for our events and our conferences, David Newman's one of them. Done 4 programs, home run every single time. I was like, I love you, man. It was almost worth doing those programs for peanuts. Almost. Okay. It was Lynn Kramer. It was totally Lynn Kramer. How do you know Lynn Kramer? Kimberly's like, was that Lynn Kramer? I said, yes. It's totally Lynn Kramer. I love Lynn. Yeah, exactly. We all love Lynn. It's funny. I said it the same time you typed it.
She's now retired, and Sandy's the editor. Of course, because we're in the same market. I haven't heard from her recently. She seems to have just gone off into the sunset to do something.
I'm just for laughs, and maybe just for Kimberly to have some fun. I will post Lynn's letter in our Facebook group so you guys can see what that looks like. But again, that's a great example of I want Philadelphia Business Journal letterhead. I want that freaking letterhead, right? And so do you. So there you go, my friends. All right, great call, and post your distinctions and takeaways in the Facebook group. Do not forget, what you anchor, you get to keep. What kind of flies by transactionally dissipates and disappears. So go into the Facebook group, post your best distinction, your best takeaway, your best aha moments from today. Anchor it so you keep it, you build on it, you monetize it, and we'll see you on Thursday. All right, bye, team.